That's for you.
Okay.
Okay. So, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bruce Blakeman, Republican and Conservative Party candidate for governor, also running on the vote affordability party line. And I'm here in Rockland County today because we are traveling throughout the state talking about how we can make this state more livable, more affordable, safer. And this is part of our process of going to every community in New York State, not only just to tell them what I'm going to do, but to hear from them as what they want from their governor. So as we travel across the state, the only thing that is common in every single part of the state is people are miserable under Kathy Hochul. We are the most overtaxed state in the United States of America. We are the most overregulated state in the United States of America. Our utility bills are 70% higher than the national average. So these are all big problems for our residents and for businesses. That's why people are leaving in droves. Businesses are leaving, taking thousands of jobs. People are leaving, and we have to stop that. We have to create an economic environment that's vibrant so that we have jobs for our young people, good paying jobs with good benefits, lower our taxes, lower our electric bills. And I can do that. I've got a county whereby I haven't raised taxes in 4 years. U.S. News and World Report says it's the safest county in America to live in. Niche Magazine says my county is the most desirable place to live in all of New York State. Well, I want to bring that to New York State, every part of New York State. We should be creating jobs, lowering taxes, lowering electric costs, and creating safe communities. Kathy Hochul is the most pro-criminal governor in the whole United States of America. Raise the age, the HALT Act, cashless bail, not cooperating with federal agents. So again, I know how to run a big organization. My county is larger than 8 states in population. I know how to win in an area that is predominantly Democrat. There are 110,000 more Democrats in Nassau County than Republicans. And I won re-election in a midterm in a terrible night for Republicans all across America by 12 points in a landslide by 36,000 votes. That's exactly the common sense theme that I'm going to bring to the state of New York, and I believe that we will be victorious, and I expect fully to be governor on January 1st and save New York from Kathy Hochul and Zohran Mamdani. With that, any questions that's on your mind?
Hi, I'm Chris McKenna from the Journal News. The enrollment advantage for Democrats statewide is quite a bit wider than it is in Nassau County. It's a 2-to-1 enrollment advantage. How do you or any
So
other...
then I'm only going to win by 10 points, not 12. Is that what you're trying to say?
Close. I think, how does any Republican would overcome that disadvantage to win a statewide election?
Well, you know, Chris, that's a very good question. And believe me, it's something that I thought about very seriously before I got into this race. There had to be a pathway to victory. So Lee Zeldin ran a great race, and he came very close. He came within, I believe, 5.5 points. And we took a look at what the difference was between his campaign and what my campaign would look like. And there's a couple of things that are striking. First of all, Kathy Hochul didn't have a report card when Lee was running against her. So Lee would go out and say, Kathy Hochul's going to do all these bad things, and people had to take it on faith. Well, now I have a report card, and it's straight Fs. The highest tax state. Electric bills, 70% higher than the national average. Lawlessness in our communities. The lack of economic development. We are number 50 out of 50 states in economic outlook. We are in a death spiral in New York. I'm the pilot that can take us out of that death spiral. So when you look at various areas, Long Island, I believe we're going to do very well. That's my home base. That's where we're going to launch this rocket from. But in New York City, every time I go to New York City, especially in the outer boroughs, people are fed up with the policies of Kathy Hochul. They don't like her unholy alliance with Zohran Mamdani. They feel that he's betrayed the middle class. He talked about affordability. He's done nothing but make it more affordable to live in New York City. He is a socialist. He is certainly not somebody who's going to grow our economy and create the kind of jobs that our young people want in order to be able to stay here. So I've got that going in my favor. Also, abortion's off the table now because I'm a pro-choice Republican. So Kathy Hochul spent probably 80% of her resources 4 years ago attacking Lee Zeldin on abortion. We have taken that off the table. I'm a pro-choice Republican. I have been for the last 30 years. So that's not going to be an issue. What we found out is there was a lot of people that didn't want to vote for Kathy Hochul that wouldn't vote for a pro-life candidate. And now, since that's off the table, I think that those people are going to come to our side. But if you look at every race, religion, every ethnic group, every community in New York State, everybody feels the same way. That they feel miserable under Kathy Hochul, and they want to change. So whether it's in the Hudson Valley, whether it's in Western New York, Central New York, the Southern Tier, the North Country, Long Island, or New York City, or any place in between, people are fed up, they want new leadership, and they know that I can do it because I have an excellent report card. I have straight A's. Think about it. Safest county in America. Most desirable place to live in New York State. Haven't raised taxes a penny in 4 years. Cut a $150 million tax increase. Those are things that are tangible. So if you take her record and my record and you compare the two, it's not even close.
Just one thing about the political climate right now. President Trump made inroads in New York in 2024. His approval rating in June in the Siena poll was at 35% in New York. I think 29% with independents. Is he a help or a drag on Republicans who are running this fall?
This is a race about state issues. Donald Trump didn't make our electric bills 70% higher. Kathy Hochul did. Donald Trump didn't make this the most overtaxed state in America. Kathy Hochul did. Donald Trump didn't make us a lawless community because Kathy Hochul has not backed law enforcement. Every single criminal justice initiative has been promulgated to make it easier for criminals to operate. When is she going to enact a law that protects our communities? She fired 2,000 corrections officers. So the fact of the matter is, it's not going to be about Washington. It's not going to be about Donald Trump. Kathy Hochul wants to talk about everything but her record. You never hear her talk about her record because it's a record of failure.
Keith
Yes, sir.
Schicklowitz, Rockland
What's
Post.
your name?
Keith Schicklowitz, Rockland Post.
Me.
You too. You're talking about energy and the energy costs. One of the problems with energy costs in this area was the closing of Indian Point. I know Congressman Lawler a few months ago was at Indian Point to go get it restarted. Kathy Hochul is having a nuclear power plant built further upstate, but is resisting getting Indian Point up back online. That will help us down here. How are you going to deal with the Indian Point issue?
Well, there's a few things that you need to do. First of all, with Indian Point, they are doing a study right now, I believe, through Congressman Lawler, and I applaud him for it, on what the cost would be to reopen Indian Point. And I think that nuclear has to be on the table in the future in this state because the energy needs are going to be so great. But we are sitting on one of the largest natural gas reserves in the world, right here in New York, and Kathy Hochul won't let us extract that natural gas. She wants to go all electric homes. She wants to tell people that they can't have gas stoves in their house. She's engaged in the green energy scam where on your utility bill, she has a fund that you have to pay for. You contribute every month when you pay your electric bill, and you invest in things like solar farms upstate New York that have been under snow for 4 months out of the year, producing no energy, very expensive, or wind turbines 60 stories high in the middle of the ocean. Who builds in the middle of the ocean? You got to barge everything out there. You got to be dependent on the weather, dependent on the wave structure. So, I mean, this green energy scam is nothing more than another tax on the ratepayers of our state producing very little energy. So let's open the Marcellus shale. And by the way, Kathy Hochul is very disingenuous because she's buying the gas from Pennsylvania. So why aren't we buying it from our own state, from our own people? On one side of the border in Pennsylvania, they're driving around in brand new Cadillac Escalades. On the New York side of the border, they're driving around in 20-year-old pickup trucks. So what I would say is we've got to open up that for exploration and extraction, and we have to look very closely at whether or not it makes financial sense to open Indian Point. And there are new technologies now that we have to take a close look at, such as there are companies now that are doing small nuclear reactors. They are based on the model of aircraft carriers and submarines, which have a 100% safety record. So that's a new technology that I would certainly be open to. And look, I'm not against green energy, but it can't be the sole source of energy. That is a pipe dream to think that we could go all green and all electric. It's something that is untenable, would never happen. We don't have the grid to produce that. And by the way, how are you going to power those if we go all electric? Probably with coal-fired plants from Pennsylvania, because she buys gas from there, she'll probably buy coal from there.
So there's a cost of living messaging war between the two parties right now. Who's responsible for this? And what you've mentioned.
Well, the evidence is 100%.
You've mentioned policies in
Who
Albany.
is in charge? Who is in charge of energy policy in the state? Kathy Hochul. Who approved 45 plus rate hikes? Excuse me, thought I had it on. I guess I got to bring home a loaf of bread and a
There you go.
So, who's responsible? She's responsible. Her energy policy with Indian Point, her energy policy with the Marcellus Shale in the southern tier, 45 plus rate hikes, the green energy scam. She tries to deflect and say somebody else is responsible. This is all state controlled. She's the head of our state government, and it's laughable when she says she wants to make our state more affordable. You've been governor for 4 years. You're the one that made it unaffordable.
Some more recent things that Democrats are pointing to are from Washington, the tariffs and the gas increase since the war in Iran began. How do you counter that as their argument for what's really afflicting New Yorkers right now?
It's a deflection. A governor can only do what is within the parameters of state government. And the parameters of state government are very broad in New York. A governor can't control the international price of a barrel of oil. But what a governor can do is open up the Marcellus Shale, to potentially open up Indian Point, to end the green energy scam, to not approve over 45 rate hikes. That's all on her watch. That was her responsibility, and that's what people are complaining about mostly. And she tries to deflect all the time. Kathy, run on your record, and I'll run on my record. We'll compare the two, and I'm very confident that the people will vote for me when they see what a miserable record you have and what a great record I've had as county executive of a county larger than 8 states in population.
Last question, Keith.
Okay. Businesses. New York has lost $11 billion in tax revenue because businesses are picking up and packing out, heading to red states like Florida, Texas, Tennessee.
And high net worth individuals.
Right. What are you going to do to get them back?
Well, it's very easy to get them back. They left because of the high taxes. They left because of the overregulation. They left because they have to pay 70% more than the national average for utilities. So businesses find other places to go. I was with a business leader the other day. They said dealing with the state is like going to a state office and having a sign out front that says, "How can we not help you?" We don't help business. We don't nurture business. That's why states like Florida, Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Arizona, they are getting our business because our state is anti-business. And the moratorium on AI centers is just another example. You would have thought that in 4 years should be able to figure out how to make it work for everybody. It could be a win-win-win situation. First of all, you got to sit down with local government and get them in as a partner. You can't force it down their throat. Second of all, you've got to get the AI data centers, the developers, to come up with a plan to do two things. One, recirculate the water that they need, because they do need a tremendous amount of water. For a little more money, they can put recirculation technology into their plants, and you won't use up as much water, and it's something that could be environmentally compatible with local communities. The next thing it can do is they have to be self-sustaining with respect to utilities and generation of energy. So if they do that, and they can do that, not only will it not be a burden on the grid in these local areas, but it could lower the electric costs of the surrounding areas, as well as provide tax advantages where it'll cut people's property taxes, because the data centers will be paying a tremendous amount of the tax revenue. They will increase the tax base, which will allow local government to cut taxes on a local level. So the fact of the matter is, I would get all the stakeholders in a room, and I've already talked to them because I'm prepared. I'm ready to go on day one. On November 4th, I will be getting to work. I don't need to be sworn in, to make sure that we build our economy. There's a reason why we're 50 out of 50 states in economic outlook. That is a national embarrassment that the once great empire state is last in economic outlook. So it's a question of getting all the shareholders together and getting them in to buy into a partnership where everybody gets a say and where everybody gets an advantage and a benefit. And that's what the developers have talked about. They said, there's a lot of misinformation out there. We are willing to do things that will make people's lives materially better. And let's talk about the construction jobs and the permanent jobs. This is the fastest growing industry in the world, and Kathy Hochul, in what I call economic cowardice and malpractice, has shut them out for a year. So now the other 49 states have a tremendous advantage over us. China has a tremendous advantage over us. It's just bizarre. It doesn't make sense. It is something that is counterintuitive to economics. So the fact of the matter is, when I become governor, my job is to create an exciting, vibrant state where people will make more money. It'll be more affordable because they'll have more money in their pocket, and they'll get to make choices on how they want to spend their money and not government.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys.